Did you know that popular American actress Brooke Shields went nude many times as a child only to fulfill her mother's lustful desires for fame? And when the consequences came for her, Shields was forced into a depression that kept seducing her to jump out of her window until she became an antidepressant addict. But what's confusing for most people is how the darkest part of her life turned her into an enemy to the Top Gun star Tom Cruise. And that's part of what we are going to be deciphering in today's video while we discuss the entire history of Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields started her life in Manhattan, New York, with a lazy father and an alcoholic mother. As a matter of fact, Brooke's father, Francis Shield, paid good money to ensure that she wouldn't leave the hospital alive. His plans failed, and that is probably why we all know and remember Shields. According to Terry Shields, Brooke's mother, when she announced her pregnancy to Francis, he paid and pushed for an abortion. Terry wouldn't reject the money, but she refused to terminate the pregnancy. Brooke was born, and this was what started trouble in her home. Her parents divorced when she was just 5 months old, and as a reward for saving her life, her mother wanted her to make her rich. Shields was only 5 days old when Terry announced to the world that she was going to do whatever it took to make sure that her daughter became popular in show business. So she forced young Brooke through hours and hours of learning. She took the piano, practiced ballet, and also horse riding. While her plan would eventually work, it was going to leave a lot of deep scars. Terry wanted fast riches, so she was careful in selecting the roles her daughter played, and she made sure that it was only the most controversial. Brooke made her acting debut in the 1976 horror film Alice, Sweet Alice. She played a young girl who was choked to death with a candle during her first Holy Communion. The next big news on Shields was when her mother brought in a photographer to take naked pictures of her. 10-year-old Brooke had very little say in the matter, but it became a very serious issue when she got older. She sued the photographer, Gary Goss, in court, demanding rights over the pictures, but the court ruled in Goss's favor. According to popular blogs, the ruling would have been different if her mother hadn't signed it and if she was considered a child performer rather than a model. Still, Terry wouldn't stop. For Shields' breakthrough role, she had her involved in something much deeper than what the public was already talking about. In 1978, 11-year-old Brooke was cast in the American historical drama film Pretty Baby. She played the child Violet, who lived in a brothel. The film featured many nude scenes, including ones with Shields in it. This sparked heavy controversies across the industry, with many directors tagging the film as child pornography. It was banned in many states and countries, but Terry wore a proud smile on her face. Her daughter was making her rich and popular, and to her, that was the only thing that mattered. Brooke's next contract would also demand that she take off her clothes more times than once. The young actress appeared in the 1979 release of Just You and Me, Kid, and her compliance with her mother's agreement with the director earned her a $250,000 paycheck. By the time she was 16, Shields was at the top of the list of the most recognizable faces in the United States because of the kinds of controversies she found herself in. Time magazine even reported that her day rate as a model was somewhere around $10,000. You might also remember seeing her in shows like Blue Lagoon, The Muppet Show, Endless Love, and Sahara, among many others. For her feature in Sahara, Shields was reportedly paid $1 million, but the film fell short of expectations. It only succeeded as a critical and commercial failure, and Brooke became the only actress ever to win the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor. By the time Shields grew bold enough to walk out of her mother's shadow, the first thing she did was to leave the spotlight and enroll for a degree at Princeton University. But her mother's curse was still going to find her. In school, Brooke was constantly tormented by paparazzi, who always wanted to steal clips of her even in the oddest times. One time, the actress confessed that a photographer paid one of the girls in school to take pictures of her in the shower, and the story kept getting even uglier. One of the consequences of showing too much skin as a child is that it is going to attract a lot of weirdos to you. And as a child, Brooke had her mother in charge of her fan mails and social accounts, but a very obsessed fan was good to seek her out in person. John Rinaldi was considered a friend by Shields and her mother until they learned of his true intentions. According to the actress, she had maintained a cordial relationship with Rinaldi since they were teenagers, and this made her play blind to the many red flags she saw in him. He sent texts and emails at uncommon hours and flooded her home with a lot of weird gifts. The last straw that broke Shields' back was when he parked in front of her house for hours with her name on his windscreen. The actress alerted the police because she felt violated, and then she would sue John in court. Rinaldi wasn't going to exactly deny the allegations. He admitted to a crush on the Suddenly Susan star, but he claimed that it all ended after their adolescent days. In the end, Rinaldi was found guilty of stalking and harassing the actress, and he was sentenced to 60 days in jail. It was easy for Brooke to call out a friend who went too far in a relationship, but it took the actress decades to expose a Hollywood executive who forced her to pay him back with her body. Shields narrated a time when she needed a film role so badly, and a director was going to take advantage of her desperation. According to her, this happened after her time at Princeton University when she was still struggling to get back into the spotlight. The director invited her to a public restaurant where they had dinner, but after that, he insisted that she escort him back to his hotel room, and that was where it all happened. "I thought I was getting a movie, a job," Shields said. "It's taken me a long time to process it. I'm more angry now than I was able to be then." Brooke accused the director of assaulting her in his hotel room, and she blamed herself for it. "I kept saying I shouldn't have done that. Why did I go up with him? I shouldn't have had that drink at dinner. And because it was a fight or flight type of choice. Fight was not an option, so you just leave your body. You're not there. It didn't happen." The only reason Shields refused to talk about this for many years was because she was convinced that nobody would believe her. According to the actress, it happened at a time when people saw stories like that as a desperate attempt at quick fame. Brooke has continued to refuse to give away the identity of the director. The only thing we know for now is that he is a top industry executive. Brooke Shields announced Dean Cain as the man who took her virginity. Before Cain became Superman, he was Brooke's classmate at Princeton, and they started a romance even against her mother's wish. They were an item for many months, but things ended shortly after school. The two stars are still reportedly in touch with each other. The next man who would tickle Shields' fancy was tennis pro Andre Agassi, and at the end of this relationship, she was going to tag it as one of the biggest mistakes of her life. The couple tied the knot in 1997, and this was the beginning of trouble for both Brooke and Agassi. Agassi was at the peak of his struggles with his addiction to crystal meth, and he took it out on the actress. The first thing that went wrong in their marriage was when Brooke made a guest appearance in Friends. In one of her scenes, she was seen licking the hands of American actor Matt LeBlanc, who played Joey, and this triggered her husband. Agassi, who was sitting in the audience at the time of shooting, reportedly stormed off, and according to Shields, he went home and smashed his tennis trophies. The actress later revealed that her husband might have been acting under the influence, and that was why he was so violent. Anyway, Agassi's addiction struggles eventually caused a rift between them, and after 2 years, Shields decided to walk away. She filed for a divorce in 1999, and that was the end of their union. Shields might have a lot of unpleasant memories with the tennis star, but her therapist praises him for being able to pull the actress from the manipulations of her alcoholic mother. "I wasn't strong enough to separate from my mother on my own. I kept falling back in," the actress said. "It was a transition that I needed." The next man on the list is Chris Henchy, and they met shortly after her 1999 divorce. According to Brooke, she met Chris when she was filming her hit sitcom Suddenly Susan. Her dog had wandered off, and Henchy was the one who brought him back. They started a relationship shortly after. The couple tied the knot in 2001, and with Chris, the problem was fertility and then postpartum depression. After months of waiting for a child, Shields finally took in, and when she followed everything the doctors said to do, she was still going to lose the child. The actress was getting ready for an interview when her doctor called about a blood test from the day before, and the news brought her to tears. Shields was told that the baby would not survive all 9 months, so she had the option to wait for her body to expel the pregnancy or absorb it naturally. It was a dark time for her, and she thought that having a baby was the solution to her problems until she had her first daughter in 2003. According to Shields, after the birth of her daughter, the next thing on her mind was suicide. She shared all of it in her 2005 memoir, Down Came the Rain: My Journey Through Postpartum Depression. In the book, Shields expressed in detail how she lacked the desire to bond with her baby and how she constantly fought with the many voices in her head. "I really didn't want to live anymore," the actress wrote. "I just wanted to leap out of my life. But then the rational side of me would say, you're only on the 4th floor, you'll get broken to bits and then you'll be even worse." Her journey to recovery started with antidepressants, and this was also how her trouble with the Top Gun star Tom Cruise started. For some reason, Tom Cruise, who was not a medical professional nor had he experienced postpartum depression, thought it wise to shame Brooke for using antidepressants. He would first call her irresponsible and then go ahead to slam her for spreading misinformation while saying that she doesn't understand the history of psychiatry when it comes to the use of medication. Of course, Tom's comments did exactly what he wanted them to do, and many women all over the internet came for him. They just didn't understand why he would choose to say all those cruel things to Brooke Shields for something he would never experience. In the end, Shields came out to say that she was glad Tom did all he did. According to her, the actor gave women all over the world a reason to fight for something they didn't even know they wanted to fight for. 1 year later, Cruise came back to apologize to Brooke for the mean things he had said to her. He even mailed her an annual Christmas cake for many years to show that he was truly repentant. Not sure if Brooke has truly forgiven him as they continue to avoid each other after all of the online drama. Not many people know this, but sometime in January 2021, Brooke Shields was involved in a terrible gym accident that almost had her in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. According to the actress, she was using the balance board when it threw her into the air and she landed on her leg. It felt like it was all in slow motion, and then I just started screaming, the actress said. Sounds came out that I've never heard before. The pain was so excruciating. Shields had broken her femur, and the first surgery had 2 rods inserted in her legs. Then more rods were needed, and she had to do another surgery. After she was discharged, the actress developed an infection, and doctors needed to operate on the leg for the 3rd time. It has been a long, hard process for the actress, as she has had to spend long hours in physical therapy learning how to walk again. While Brooke Shields might not be very proud of some of her mother's decisions, seeing her die broke her in many terrible ways. Terry Shields died on October 31, 2012 after a long sickness relating to dementia. After her death, it was reported that Brooke bought a beach house in the Hamptons, which she filled with her mother's pictures and belongings. But she quickly regretted this and sold the house off. It is taking a while, but the actress believes that she's finally on her way to detachment from this loss. You don't ever recover from losing a parent. It's a primal thing. You learn to put it in a different place in your heart. Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields, now 59 years old, is aging so gracefully, and she credits it to a happy marriage and a fulfilled life. She currently lives with her husband and her 2 girls in Lower Manhattan, New York. The actress has an estimated net worth of $40 million. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other videos of beautiful actresses from the yesteryears on the end screen below. As always, thanks for watching.